Hey everyone, it's Gimba Studios here, and guys, today we will be reviewing the Book of Boba Fett, and by the time you're seeing this video, the Book of Boba Fett has officially ended, and I am recording this like a day or two after the finale, and I have watched the show continuously over the periods of the show being out, and so pretty much I will say this: the Book of Boba Fett is a good, weird spin-off of The Mandalorian. And that's pretty much the whole gist of what I'm going to talk about. So, anyhow, if you guys happen to enjoy this video, leave a like and let me know, guys, what do you think about this show? Do you think some of the things that I say in this video make sense to you? What do you have to say about the show necessarily? And also, don't forget to subscribe because it also helps with me making videos for you guys. It gives me a little bit of motivation, and also don't forget to share. And with that being said, let's get started. So going into the show, I was pretty excited for Boba Fett. I was really looking forward to being like, oh, what has happened to him over the years and everything, and what is he gonna be like before the sequel trilogy? Does he still get to be like this in the sequel trilogy? And here's the thing, we get answers, but in a sort of a weird way. We get the answers of, hey, this is what I've been doing since Return of the Jedi to season 1 of The Mandalorian. Here's what I'm doing presently, but I'm not going to tell you exactly what I'm doing in the sequel trilogy. And I'm kind of hoping there's a season 2 where it does explore more of Boba Fett being a crime lord and what it's like having to deal with the First Order. But as a crime lord, but when it comes to the series, it's really interesting because it's called the Book of Boba Fett. And how the series plays off is pretty much you get Boba Fett in present time, he goes in the back of tank, and you get to see what he's done over the past 5 years. And that's only explored with the first 3 chapters, the first 3 episodes, whatever you want to call them. And I figured there would have been a bit more. In each of the episodes, you end up seeing how he's progressed. He was no longer a part of the Tusken Raider tribe, and then in chapter 2, he becomes a member of the Tusken Raider tribe that saved him from the Sarlacc pit. And well, he ends up saving himself, but pretty much they end up saving his life. And then in the 3rd chapter, he ends up losing them, gains the slave one, and I don't care what you call it, it will always be the slave one. And then after that, after like he gets the slave one, you've pretty much caught up to what's going on and everything, and it's just kind of like, wait, shouldn't there be more to his backstory and everything? And we get little pieces of episode 2, which honestly I thought that was actually really cool and everything, but there's no real context to his backstory. We don't get a backstory between later on in the series. We get to see Boba Fett and Cad Bane and everything. We don't get to see that whole deleted scene in live action, which I think that would have been really cool to see, but sadly we didn't get it. And obviously, a lot of the rumors that were going about the show with The Mandalorian appearing, this is basically Mandalorian season 2.5. There's also going to be Luke, Grogu, a potential appearance of Cad Bane, and all sorts of characters. I was actually, here's the thing, because I knew some characters were going to show up from the get-go. I knew Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, was going to be one of them, because of the fact that I knew Boba Fett was going to have some problem in later on in the show. And then guess what? He calls Mandalorian. Okay, well then you have Luke Skywalker show up, but it's not in the way that you think. He doesn't show up as muscle. He just shows up as a cameo. And what I've heard is pretty much all these cameos, and while I don't mind them, it has a weird place of wanting to be the Book of Boba Fett, but not be the Book of Boba Fett. And wants to introduce all these characters. And one of the arguments that I've seen about this, and honestly, I actually agree with this argument and everything. It's kind of easier for me to understand this argument. And basically, all these characters that have been introduced, Din Djarin, Luke, Cad Bane, Cobb Vanth, they've all have been impacted by by Boba Fett in some way. Even the bounty hunter Black Wookiee, that I can still never remember his name, they've all been impacted by Boba Fett in some sort of way. Cod Bavant had the Boba Fett armor at some point. Cad Bane, he gave the dent in the Boba Fett helmet. Din Djarin and helped Boba Fett get his armor back, and they both kind of had a relationship with each other and everything. Luke Skywalker and Han, and honestly, I'm surprised Han didn't show up. They had a part in bringing Boba Fett and putting Boba Fett in the Sarlacc pit. So everybody had some sort of role to play, but it's kind of interesting how like Han and Luke didn't show up. And honestly, I'm not surprised that they didn't. They have more stuff that's going on, more important things and everything. But the show is really weird. It's a good weird and it's but the problem is with the show it is, and I think a lot of people I think I could speak about this for a lot of people. We all had this interpretation that the Book of Boba Fett was going to give us a badass like Boba Fett and everything, and that's how we've seen Boba Fett, especially in the scenes that he's in live action. He's always been this badass character, and we get that, but only to a certain degree and everything. And there's a few problems that I have with the show, especially with some characters. The whole street gang that Boba Fett recruits and everything. I was like, really? Are you kidding me? You're gonna recruit these guys? Okay, that's cool. And then they bring in these speeder bikes, literally the slowest speeder bikes in all of history, and they're just so dumb. They are literally the most dumbest piece in all of Star Wars history, in like terms of vehicle wise and everything. And then you give us like a Boba Fett, and honestly, I would have loved more backstory. I would have loved a longer run of the show, like at least 10 episodes, because I wanted more backstory to Boba Fett than what we have already gotten. And I wanted to get this Boba Fett that was going to kick some ass. But sadly, we didn't get that and everything. And I wanted to see him be more of a crime lord. And obviously, him going up against the Pikes, I think was a really good choice. But I feel like the battle between Boba Fett's reign as a crime lord and the Pikes on Tatooine lasted it didn't even last long. And I was really surprised about that. I figured the fight between them would have been at least 2-3 episodes long, because it's the Pikes, literally the strongest gang like the strongest crime syndicate in all Star Wars, because of the spice and because of the drugs that they deal with. And they just ended in one episode and everything. And obviously the end of it pretty much says, hey, we're going to see you in Mandalorian Season 3 and everything. And while I loved Chapter 5 and 6, like I said, the show has a weird place of wanting to be the Book of Boba Fett and not. And the argument that I mentioned, I've also seen another argument, which I do understand completely. Because in books where you follow a main character, that book doesn't always follow that character that you explore at the beginning. And yes, I will agree with that, but I think the way that they went at it was a bit weird. So anyhow, in all insight, I think that the Book of Boba Fett is a good and weird spin-off from The Mandalorian, and it's pretty much Mandalorian Season 2.5 and everything. And so I'm going to give the run of the show a 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed some of the moments within the Book of Boba Fett, but there was just some things that it dragged on too long, or it was too slow, or it was just right out boring, or just really weird for a Book of Boba Fett story. And so essentially that is pretty much it. Anyway, I'll see you all very, very soon. Peace out.